something feels different this time. Not louder, not bigger, just heavier. Season 20 of Heartland doesn't arrive with celebration or dramatic shock. It arrives quietly, like a truth that has been waiting too long to be spoken. The ranch still stands, the horses still run. Life looks familiar on the surface. But underneath, something is shifting. This season asks a powerful question without saying it out loud. How long can people survive by being strong before that strength starts breaking them from the inside? Season 20 opens in a place that feels calm, almost peaceful, but that calm is fragile. Every character is moving forward, doing what they've always done, yet there is a sense that they are carrying more than before. The ranch is alive with routine, but the routine feels heavier. Morning chores take longer. Conversations feel shorter. Silences stretch just a little too far. This season understands something deeply human. Survival leaves marks. Not visible ones, but emotional ones that don't fade with time. The family has survived loss, change, and heartbreak before. They've learned how to keep going. But season 20 shows that moving forward doesn't mean leaving pain behind. It means learning how to live with it. And living with it comes at a cost. There is a quiet exhaustion in everyone, the kind that comes from years of holding things in, from choosing responsibility over honesty, from protecting others while ignoring your own emotional wounds. Amy stands at the center of this emotional weight. On the outside, she appears steady, capable, and grounded. She handles responsibility with calm precision. But calm is not the same as peace. Season 20 reveals a woman who has mastered the art of functioning through pain. She doesn't fall apart. She doesn't ask for help. She simply keeps going. Every choice she makes feels practical, but underneath those choices is fear. Fear of loss, fear of attachment, fear of needing someone again and paying the price for it. Love for Amy is no longer simple or hopeful. It is risk. And risk is something she understands too well. This season shows how her strength has slowly turned into armor. That armor protects her, but it also isolates her. She hesitates where she once trusted. She pauses where she once moved forward. The suspense around Amy isn't created through dramatic arguments or shocking events. It comes from emotional restraint, from the sense that she is holding something back and that when it finally comes out, it will change everything. Jack carries his own quiet burden. He has always been the emotional backbone of the family, the steady presence when everything else feels uncertain. But season 20 treats him not as a symbol, but as a man who has carried generations on his shoulders. Age and memory weigh on him now. He watches his family repeat patterns he once lived through himself. The hardest part for Jack isn't giving advice. It's realizing that wisdom doesn't always stop pain. Sometimes, all he can do is watch and hope they survive the lessons life insists on teaching. His silence this season speaks louder than words. He notices the changes in Amy. He sees the careful distance, the emotional restraint, the way she protects herself by staying busy and composed. He recognizes the difference between healing and hiding, but he also knows some lessons can't be taught. They must be felt. That understanding weighs heavily on him, creating a quiet, emotional tension that lingers in every shared moment. Lou's struggle in this opening section is shaped by pressure and guilt. She is constantly balancing responsibility with emotion, leadership with love. The ranch depends on her decisions, but so do the people she cares about most. Season 20 shows how leadership can be lonely, especially when every choice risks disappointing someone you love. Lou organizes, manages, and pushes forward, but inside she wonders if holding everything together is slowly pulling her apart. What makes this season emotionally heavy is not one big tragedy. It's the accumulation of everything that came before. Old wounds resurface in small ways, in hesitation, in short tempers, in conversations that stop halfway. Pain doesn't scream here. It waits. It asks to be acknowledged. The suspense grows not from what happens, but from what isn't being said. The ranch itself reflects this emotional weight. It has always been a place of healing, but now it mirrors the exhaustion of the people who live there. The work feels harder. The days feel longer. Not because things are worse, but because everyone is tired of being strong. Season 20 allows that exhaustion to exist. It doesn't rush to fix it. It sits with it. This first section lays the emotional foundation of the season. It doesn't promise easy answers, it doesn't rush toward comfort. Instead, it invites the audience to feel the pauses, to understand the silence, and to recognize that sometimes the most powerful drama comes from what people are afraid to admit. And this is only the beginning. As season 20 settles into its rhythm, the emotional tension deepens. What felt heavy before now feels deliberate. Every interaction carries intention. Every silence carries meaning. This section leans into one of the season's most powerful ideas. Love is no longer something these characters run toward. It's something they approach carefully, almost cautiously, as if it could hurt them simply by existing. Amy's journey becomes more internal here. She isn't fighting grief anymore. That battle was fought long ago. What she's fighting now is attachment. The fear of needing someone again sits heavier than the pain of loss ever did. She has learned how to survive without expecting too much from life or from people. Hope has been softened. Desire has been quieted. Season 20 shows how she has trained herself to lower her emotional voice so she won't feel disappointment as sharply. But love doesn't disappear just because it's ignored. It waits. It grows quietly. And this season understands how dangerous that can be. Amy's hesitation becomes the source of suspense. Not because she makes wrong choices, but because she makes careful ones. Too careful. The audience can feel that something important is being held back. There's a sense that one honest moment could unravel everything she has built to protect herself. Jack notices this more than anyone. He has lived long enough to recognize the patterns. He sees how Amy's strength, once her greatest gift, has slowly become armor. Armor is useful, but it's also heavy. He remembers a time when love felt simpler, when joy wasn't followed immediately by fear. Watching Amy move through life with such restraint stirs something painful in him. Not regret, but recognition. He sees himself in her, and that knowledge is quietly heartbreaking. Jack's role in this section is defined by restraint. He wants to guide her, to say something that might ease her fear. But season 20 understands that wisdom doesn't always arrive as advice. Sometimes it arrives as silence. Jack knows that some emotional walls can only be taken down from the inside. His presence becomes a reminder of time itself, of how love changes, of how survival can teach people to protect themselves so well that they forget how to feel free. Lou's emotional conflict grows sharper in this section. She believes control is the key to keeping everything from falling apart. If she plans carefully enough, manages efficiently enough, loves responsibly enough, nothing will break. But season 20 challenges that belief. Love doesn't follow systems. Emotion doesn't respect schedules. Lou is pushed into moments where emotional honesty matters more than leadership. And that terrifies her. She begins to feel the weight of being the one everyone depends on. The ranch, the family, the future. Every decision carries emotional consequences. Her smile becomes practiced. Her confidence becomes performative. Inside, doubt grows. She wonders if being strong for everyone else means she's slowly disappearing herself. This internal pressure builds suspense, not through conflict, but through emotional fatigue. Across the ranch, relationships feel slightly off balance. Conversations are polite but unfinished. People talk around what they mean instead of saying it directly. Season 20 uses these near confessions as a storytelling tool. The tension comes from knowing something important is about to be said, but isn't. Love in this season is complicated by memory, by fear, by responsibility. It isn't romanticized. It's treated as something that can heal or hurt, depending on how it's carried. The ranch reflects this shift. The land is still beautiful, the work still matters. But familiar routines now carry emotional echoes. Tasks that once brought comfort now remind the characters of what they've lost and what they're afraid to lose again. Season 20 uses routine to show emotional change. Nothing looks different, but everything feels different. This section makes one thing clear. Love is no longer simple hope. It's risk. And risk demands courage these characters aren't sure they still have. The suspense builds not toward a dramatic event, but toward an emotional decision. Who will be brave enough to stop protecting themselves and start feeling again? The question hangs quietly, unanswered, growing heavier with every passing moment. Season 20 deepens its exploration of unspoken truths. The tension on the ranch is no longer external, it's internal, psychological, and quietly relentless. Every character is holding something back. Sometimes it's grief, sometimes guilt, sometimes fear of hurting someone else. Season 20 shows that silence itself can be a force, shaping behavior, guiding decisions, and creating suspense without a single dramatic outburst. The audience feels it in every glance, every pause, every unfinished conversation. Amy's careful restraint continues to define this section. She notices subtle changes in those around her. Lou's uncharacteristic hesitations, Jack's quiet observations, the way conversations seem to stop short. Each small clue becomes a ripple of tension, signaling that people she trusts most carry burdens she hadn't noticed before. Season 20 makes it clear that this isn't about secrets being malicious. They are often born from fear of judgment, fear of conflict, fear of emotional exposure. Yet those very fears create a weight that can be heavier than the original pain. Lou's arc is defined by the struggle between control and vulnerability. She has always believed that if she can manage every detail, both the ranch and her family will be safe. But this season challenges that idea. Hidden truths, no matter how small, have the power to destabilize everything she's built. Lou's internal battle, the desire to protect combined with the fear of emotional fallout, drives tension. The audience watches her navigate situations where honesty feels dangerous, yet withholding information risks eroding trust. Every decision she makes carries emotional consequences she cannot fully anticipate. Jack's perspective continues to add depth to the suspense. Having lived through decades of triumphs and heartbreaks, he recognizes patterns forming around him. He sees Amy's careful restraint, Lou's controlled decisions, and subtle shifts in family dynamics. Unlike past seasons where he might intervene immediately, Season 20 emphasizes his restraint. Wisdom, this season argues, sometimes means watching, understanding, and letting events unfold while quietly hoping for the best. The suspense grows because the audience senses he knows more than he says, and no one knows when or how he will act. The ranch itself mirrors the emotional stakes. Familiar routines take on new weight. Chores, once comforting and grounding, now carry subtle tension. A horse fed in silence, a glance exchanged across a field. These mundane actions become symbolic of the unspoken pressure everyone is carrying. Season 20 treats the environment as a silent witness, amplifying emotional suspense without a single dramatic incident. Family relationships in this section are tested in nuanced ways. Parent-child bonds, sibling dynamics, and intergenerational patterns all carry the burden of unspoken expectations. Season 20 emphasizes that love and responsibility are inseparable, and that protecting others can sometimes become a form of quiet self-denial. Characters are aware of the stakes, but they navigate them with restraint, creating a psychological tension that drives the season forward. Suspense in Season 20 is no longer about what will happen, it's about what won't be said. Unfinished sentences, small glances, hesitations, and moments of avoidance dominate the narrative. The audience is constantly aware that a revelation is coming, but its timing and impact are uncertain. These near confessions create an emotional pressure cooker where the weight of secrets builds steadily, threatening to overwhelm at any moment. Amy's emotional tension remains central. Her fear of attachment, coupled with the weight of past loss, is magnified as she notices the hidden burdens of those around her. Every observation reinforces the stakes. Trust is fragile, honesty is risky, and the longer she delays vulnerability, the more potent the suspense becomes. The audience understands that the eventual emotional release, when it comes, will have consequences far beyond what is immediately visible. Lou, Jack, and Amy are all confronted with echoes of the past. Decisions made years ago continue to influence the present. Unspoken grief, postponed guilt, and inherited emotional patterns add layers of complexity. Season 20 portrays these intergenerational burdens with subtlety, allowing viewers to feel the pressure of history pressing down on every character. The emotional suspense grows as these silent forces intertwine with present-day challenges. This section makes it clear that secrets are not background noise. They are the engine driving the season's tension. The ranch is a stage for hidden truths, unspoken fears, and restrained emotions. Every glance, pause, and incomplete sentence carries weight. Season 20 emphasizes that honesty, even when difficult, is essential for emotional survival. The suspense is psychological, rooted in relationships and human behavior. It's not action-driven, it's deeply human. By the end of this section, the audience recognizes that the foundation of trust on the ranch is under pressure. Every character is balancing protection, fear, courage, and honesty. The emotional stakes rise not through dramatic events, but through quiet choices. The suspense comes from asking, how long can they maintain this balance before everything shifts? Season 20 makes it clear that the weight of unspoken truths is more potent than any external threat. The tension is internal, inevitable, and inescapable, creating a compelling emotional landscape that will define the rest of the season. Season 20 now delves even deeper into the consequences of prolonged emotional restraint. The characters have spent years surviving, protecting, and holding each other together, but strength, when carried for too long, becomes a burden. Season 20 examines how endurance, once a virtue, can slowly isolate a person. The quiet tension on the ranch is not from a single catastrophe. It is from the cumulative weight of decades of careful, cautious living. Every smile, every gesture, and every decision is now shaped by the invisible cost of survival. Amy's journey continues to anchor this section. Her carefulness, once practical, now borders on self-preservation. She measures her interactions, weighs her emotions, and hesitates before giving herself permission to feel fully. Season 20 illustrates that this hesitation is not weakness, it is the aftermath of loss. Her restraint creates suspense because the audience senses the emotional tipping point is near. Each choice she makes, each word she leaves unsaid, builds toward a moment of emotional reckoning that could reshape her relationships forever. Jack's role as observer becomes even more pronounced. He watches the unfolding dynamics with the patience that only time can bring. Jack recognizes that lessons in survival often come from living through restraint, not confrontation. He sees patterns forming. Amy's careful distancing, Lou's increasing control, the subtle tension in conversations across the ranch. His silence, far from inaction, is a deliberate acknowledgement of the slow burn of emotional truth. The audience understands that his insight carries weight, and when he finally acts, it will be precise and deeply significant. Lou's struggle evolves as the pressure to maintain control starts to crack her emotional armor. Leadership, once a source of confidence, becomes a source of vulnerability. She has always believed that careful planning and decisiveness could prevent emotional fallout, but Season 20 challenges that belief at every turn. Lou learns that protecting the ranch and protecting hearts are two different tasks, and balancing them may be impossible. This realization heightens the tension, as the audience sees cracks in the foundation of someone who has always been the emotional glue of the family. The ranch itself mirrors this fragility. Routine tasks now carry emotional echoes. A chore done in silence, a glance exchanged across a field, the sound of horses moving through the barn, all reflect the internal state of the characters. Season 20 uses the environment not just as a backdrop, but as a silent amplifier of tension. The land holds memory, and it remembers every subtle shift in emotion, reflecting and magnifying the unspoken struggles of its residents. Family relationships are portrayed with remarkable nuance. Trust, love, and responsibility are shown as intertwined and delicate. Amy's love is cautious, Jack's wisdom is patient but heavy, Lou's leadership is admirable but isolating. The audience sees how past patterns, unspoken regrets, postponed grief, and inherited expectations shape current decisions. Season 20 emphasizes that emotional survival often requires careful calculation, but this calculation comes at the cost of immediate connection and vulnerability. The suspense in this section grows from anticipation rather than action. Every unspoken truth, every moment of hesitation, and every silent observation adds layers to the story. The audience feels the weight of what is unsaid as acutely as any dramatic confrontation. Relationships are tested in subtle ways, not through explosive conflicts, but through restraint, omission, and emotional caution. The tension becomes a quiet undercurrent, threading through every interaction. Amy's internal struggle serves as the emotional centerpiece. Her fear of vulnerability, shaped by past loss and careful survival, drives her restraint. Yet, this carefulness is not foolproof. Season 20 suggests that no amount of control can shield her from the consequences of love, attachment, and emotional truth. The suspense lies in knowing that her carefully maintained boundaries will eventually be challenged, creating a compelling emotional trajectory. Lou's arc demonstrates the cost of prolonged strength. Her ability to maintain control and manage responsibility is admirable, but Season 20 highlights the hidden toll of constant vigilance. The audience witnesses her quiet fractures, hesitations, second-guessing, and moments of vulnerability that she doesn't share with anyone. These cracks are small but profound, and they amplify the suspense of the season.